Oh, there we go. Got it. Look at that. Right when I said shit, it's like it heard me. What's up, historians? Welcome back to another great episode of season 6 of Historically Haunted Vodcast. I'm your podcast host. This is episode 42. I'm the historian Ghost Center. We got a little tornado warning for the first time that I can remember in Maine. So bear with me. The Wi-Fi is a little spotty. Before we shoot the show, this is from a past guest of mine. He is an actor. He was Mike Hanlon in the original Stephen King's It, 1989. It. Marlon Taylor. I met him in Maine. He was on the show once. I met him in Maine, and he came this video.
Marlon Taylor here. If you guys don't know, it's young Mike Hanlon from the 1990 version of Stephen King's It. You guys are sitting at home, you don't know what to do, you ain't got nothing to do. You know what I recommend? Go check out Historically Haunted, the Vodcast. Adam begin. Have a good evening.
That was dope. He flew down to Bangor, where I live. Excuse me, home of Stephen King, did a little autograph thing, and I said, "Hey, you're on my show. You want to meet?" We met, and he gave me some autographs and did the interview. I was actually recording him doing the intro. So much love, Marlon. Appreciate you. I gotta get him back on at some point. So a little bit about my guest. A little bit about my guest today. Came recommended to me from a cousin of his. Works for Methodical Management. Ajik is actually. I did a lot of research on him after. And this cat, honestly, is someone we need to talk to, especially being a New England native in Meriden, Connecticut. As you guys know, Connecticut's just, if not more, historic than I think Massachusetts. I know Mass has got Plymouth Rock and Salem, but Connecticut's got so much lore. Everything from the melon heads to the fucking the midgets, the Bullfrog Bridge to vampires and witches, you name it. Of course, Annabelle's home in Connecticut. So my guest today, he is a writer. He's a musician. He is a historian. He is an art teacher, an artist. He's an author, and he's also recently inducted into the Hall of Fame in Meriden. So without further ado, man, I'm jumbling because I'm worried about my weather. So bear with me. I have done this before, I swear to God. Justin Piccirillo, fellow Italian. What's up, brother? There's my game face.
How you doing?
What's up? My Wi-Fi was getting spotty.
It's all good, man. Thanks for having me.
How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. It's I just got my coffee next to me, so I'm doing really well.
Perfect. Brandon, my boy from Virginia, Viper Paranormal. Brandon Golding's a good sponsor of the show. Sponsors the show, checks in a lot. Viper. I don't know if you've been to Virginia. Ever been down south?
I did actually. A band I was in. We actually the first night of the tour was actually in Virginia. This was back in 2002.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's some Roanoke and shit. Yeah, Radford. This cousin right there. What's up?
Hi, Age.
So we got so much to cover, and you know me, I want to cover everything, leaving your metal detecting because I think it's pretty rad. But let's start. Since we didn't start with the music stuff, I want to start with musician, brother. I didn't know too much about that. Did you play guitar, drum, sing?
Yeah, so I'm a drummer. I've been playing since I was 8 years old. Had the pleasure of playing with some opening up for a lot of big bands around here, and then I started teaching. So I taught drums for a number of years around here. But you know, I always like the kind of the avant-garde rather than the stuff you hear on the radio. And for example, that band that I was just telling you about that we went on tour, that was actually an Indian band. So I studied Indian music in college. So yeah, so that was pretty cool. So we actually brought that down. It was I think it was 14 days. I don't know. It was a bunch of dates in those 14 days though. It was pretty cool. Wow. Virginia was the first night.
What's it like the hue there, that throat singing stuff where the guys wear antlers and shit and they think they're big, they have real deerskin drums and shit. Pretty old school, man. Cousins checking in saying looking good, cuz checking in. Yeah. So I want to go through all levels. I got ADHD and I don't take medication for it, so I'm going to be all over the place. I get excited when people have more than one thing to offer. And I'm a musician myself. I used to sing in a heavy metal band for a couple of years in Maine, and not that I played drums because I always loved Neil Peart. Neil Peart was great. The drummer for Tool's great. Puts his drum kit in a circle every show. I got to ask you real quick before we get to the next subject. Who's your inspiration for drummers? Like, who do you look up to
for drumming? Well, like I said, I'm interested in North Indian classical music, and Zakir Hussain was the main guy, and he's like a folk classical tabla player. So, but if you're talking about mainstream rock, anything from Toto to Tool to Tower of Power. I mean, those are my three big ones.
Okay, right on.
Yeah, so a little of everything. You know, nothing. Nothing's off limits, if that makes some sense.
A true musician, man. I dig that. Seriously, no
absolutely.
no labels.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Where do I want to go next? I don't write stuff down. I just let myself go. And anybody got questions in the audience? Go ahead and ask. Just be cool about shit. Tool, woohoo, yes. Oh yeah, who doesn't love Tool?
Yes, Tool.
So I gotta ask this because this was on my mind. I tried doing some research. How does one even get nominated to be in the Hall of Fame of a town and historical place? I don't like. Does Bangor have a history? Like, does Bangor have a Hall of Fame? I don't know.
I'm sure they do. You know,
really?
In Meriden case, you know, I'm just humbled by this thing because I mean, I didn't see this thing coming. Man. I did not see it coming, and I don't know what else to say other than I'm just really humbled by it because, you know, to be in the group of people that are in there, it's amazing. And, you know, it's funny because, you know, a lot of times when I write these books, I'm always looking at the underdog, kind of like the unsung heroes. And, you know, I really push for those people. Those are the ones that I really, you know, I want to sensationalize because they haven't been sensationalized. I mean, there's a lot, and I think in this Hall of Fame, there's a lot of people in there that really deserve their due, and you know, just to be mentioned in the same sentence, it's amazing. You know, just humbled by the whole experience.
Well, a lot of people like you got your back. Bill Sullivan's got your back, former guest, part of the Warren used to be part of the Warren Legacy Foundation with me. Part of Aegis Group now, and it looks like Justin Rogers is proud of you. Says you deserve it, man.
Justin was one of my students years ago.
That's awesome, man.
Yes,
and that's what it's about. I mean, that's what I'd be like. I love talking to people that are known, and not that you're not known. But as soon as I started talking to you and you started telling me about these things, I'm like, this fucking guy. And I started doing research. I'm like, you're into a little bit of everything. Real quick, let's go to the art section. What got you into art stuff? What got you into like?
Okay, so I got a good story for that one. So in Meriden, there was, we have a very long legacy of artists, and we go back 200 years with this. And I actually wrote a book about the artists of Meriden. But if you go back to 1948, there was an artist named Frank Lamphere, and he actually created over a 60-year span, editorial cartoons in the newspaper. And he was everything, you know, to me, when I was growing up, you know, his cartoons in the newspaper, my dad would, you know, put me on his lap. Here's one of Lamp's cartoons. And he was always my hero growing up. Now, lo and behold, we'll jump ahead about 20 years. And the newspaper, local newspaper, is looking for someone to replace him, or at least to work side by side. And I got that phone call, and so I was able to work with him, my hero, for 10 years. And that, you know, you just can't. I can't even explain how amazing it was to be side by side with, you know, the hero that I grew up, you know, emulating. And you know, he was always there for a phone call. He was always there for, you know, he passed away, you know, a number of years ago, but. You know, he never didn't give me the time, you know, and it's funny because, you know, I was this hot shot coming out of art school, and, you know, here I am trying to be as intricate and detailed as I can. And he's like, why are you, you know, going crazy here? Let me show you this little trick. And he would do one little thing with a crayon that, you know, it would take me, you know, 5 hours to do it. You know, he just had that. So yeah, that was the beginning of the art. And, you know, I had to make that decision in college. You know, am I going to go the art path or the music path? And I chose art, and, you know, no regrets. I've been an art teacher for 28 years. And as you just saw Justin up on the screen, and, you know, Justin was, you know, he was one of my pride and joy students, as many of them are. But Justin actually, hey, there you go, buddy. Yes. Yeah, no. In fact, hey Justin, I'm sure you remember this. I wrote an article in a art magazine about Justin, you know, because he actually followed in my footsteps going to the same art school. You know,
You see how it goes.
I've been blessed.
You see how you learn from your mentor, and he's learning from his mentor, and that's how good people. And God knows, I'm not going to get political or religious or any of that, but we need good people in life. Period. And I don't care what side you're on. And I think that's why I was enjoying to talk to you. I'm like, man, you got a lot of hats, Justin.
No, it's, you know what? I think when opportunity arises, you just do it. You know, you don't second guess it. Excuse me. You just do it. And I think that's, so many opportunities have fallen at my feet. Just do it. Yeah.
I love that because music is art anyway, and if music's in your heart, you don't ever really lose it. You can still pick up a drumstick and hit a fucking drum. You're fucking. Who does it matter if you're in a band or not? Really, you know. I still scream in the shower. Yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? I still do a little bit old school Pantera. You know, I fucking whatever, man.
Sure,
it's my cup of tea. But then I'll do some Frank Sinatra. You know what I mean? So
it's all good, man.
Hey, so I got to ask you. Let's dive back in because I'm dying to know this because I'm a historian, as you know. I'm a historian of Santiago and Charter Street Cemetery. That's the second oldest burial ground in America. That's in Salem. I want to get the shirt. They had a tour there. What is give me your favorite? Okay, this is tough. Give me at least one or two of your favorite spots in your state and or town. Okay, how about this? That's not in your town. Give me. Besides Meriden, Connecticut, give me some fucking spots. Give me Dudleyville. Give me Union Cemetery. What do you got? Give me 2 or 3 spots in Connecticut that you go to, brother.
That I go to for what? Metal detecting or just for historical significance?
Yes, anything. Ghost hunting, historical, something that's maybe a lore that you know of. Like I went all the way to where the Dark Forest entry is. That's where the Melonheads were. I went all the way out there.
Absolutely.
But there's an old cemetery out there at a school that George Washington brought some dude in. Supposedly Jack the Ripper's wife is buried out there or something.
Yeah.
You heard about that?
I read that. I read that story about Jack the Ripper's wife when she came back to Gaylordsville.
Great. Thank you. Someone finally knows it. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, she came back and they called her the cat lady because she had like 49 cats.
She's a fucking cat lady. Had a horde of cats. Yes.
I remember that.
Connecticut.
Yes, Gaylordsville, way out there. Yeah.
All right. No more beating around the bush. Give me 2 or 3 favorite Connecticut's besides Meriden.
All right. So I'll tell you, Meriden's number 1. I'm going to tell you that right now. But if I have to pick somewhere else, I'm going to think where I'm going. I go metal detecting. I go metal detecting a lot out in Cornwall, Connecticut. It's pristine. There's a lot of history, a lot of Civil War history, because John Sedgwick, which came Major John Sedgwick came from there. And the other one would be another, and I don't know if he's watching, my buddy Mark, who I go metal detecting with, we actually just went up to Ashford, and Nathaniel Leon, who was the first general actually killed in the Civil War. We're coming out metal detecting, right? And we got a handful of good stuff, right? And it just so happens as we pulled out of the driveway, there's a cemetery and this big obelisk, this huge monument's right in front of me. I had to go see it. It was Nathaniel Leon's monument. I'm like, this is cool. This is where he's buried. The first general killed in the Civil War. Yeah, so I thought that was kind of cool too. So Ashford and Cornwall right now. But you ask me in 10 more minutes, I'm gonna have a difference. I'll have something different. I
love that you don't say Stanford, all the ritzy little bullshit towns like WWE is from, which I love wrestling. I've been to Stanford, but I mean, real quick, here's a fellow Connecticut guy of mine. He sponsors the show. He moved to Ohio, but he's from Connecticut. He says, Glorious Weirdos, Thomas. Thanks for the sponsorship and thanks for checking in, Thomas. He also runs conventions at Connecticut Paracon, CTPT Paracon, the Witch Fest, all that stuff, Psychic Fest, all that stuff. He does that. If you're in, maybe get a table there, like I was mentioning it sometime, would be great. And Justin says his son and him are absolutely. Okay, well, yeah, we're going to get to paranormal in a minute. Well, I wanted to say that to you. Because you're into history and lore. Sure. You're into paranormal too, though. Can you please mention, because I was trying to explain to my girlfriend the thing about the island with the midgets and shit, or the fairies.
Oh, the fucking bell?
Please.
Yeah. So, all right. So originally, the first book that I wrote about Meriden was a book about Hubbard Park. And Hubbard Park is this pristine park in Meriden, and it's lasted 128 years. and it is absolutely pristine. The city takes care of it. It's definitely the crown jewel of the city. There's no question about it. Now, prior to it being a park, it was the reservoir. It was actually an ice harvesting place. It was actually a residence. There was a lot of stuff going on there before it was this park. Now, that being said, there was this gentleman in Germany named Gerhard Hauptmann. And Gerhard Hauptmann ended up becoming the 1912 Nobel Peace Prize, or Nobel Prize winner for literature. Long story short, he was screwing around on it with his wife, and she kicked him out, and he ended up coming to Meriden. He had a doctor friend that was here in Meriden, and he ended up going up to this reservoir, and inside the reservoir there's a little island, and right, it's probably only less than a mile from where we are right now. Wow. But there's this little island, and he went up there the first night, and he's sitting there, he's writing, and unfortunately, no one's around, but he starts hearing these weird noises. Thomas, we're going to talk about Black Dog too. You bet, man.
Sorry, I had to bring that up. Sorry.
It's all good. So he starts hearing these noises, and he's looking over, and he's like, "Nobody's here. What's going on?" So he looks across into the over to the island, and he's getting a little bugged out now. So he scoots out, comes back the following day or 2 days later, comes back, sits back down, starts hearing these noises again. He's like, what's going on? Well, instead of running away again, he kind of embraces it. And he starts seeing these weird little spirits going around this island. Now, people have to go by this island to get to the castle that Tom just mentioned. He ended up creating this wonderful play called The Sunken Bell. In fact, I knew we were going to talk about it, so I actually have copies of both. So here's the English of it. You can see The Sunken Bell, Gerhard Hauptmann.
Oh, wow.
And then actually, here's the German version. I don't know if you can.
Hold on. Let me take my fucking.
What do you need?
Well, if I leave a full screen if I leave a full screen with just you can see the books better.
Go ahead. So here's this. And here's the German one. You can kind of see by the spine there. But,
wow, that's some quality. That's some museum type stuff. That's. I got to cut you off real quick. You don't run a historical society? You're not part of one?
I go there all the time. Yeah.
Of course you are. I figured that.
Yeah.
So go ahead. So this fucking island.
Yeah, no, it's just he started seeing these things going on, and he ended up writing this play, this drama about this, what he was seeing. And, of course he embellished it quite a lot, but, it ended up becoming, he ended up getting the prize. He get the literature prize. It's funny because I know I'm talking to you you're in Maine. Cannot stress enough how important Meriden has been in so many avenues that most people don't know. They don't know. It's funny. Meriden. If you were here right now, most people don't know that story. So it's like, by the wayside. Meriden's Meriden, right? But if people really took a second, just learned about the history of this city, it's just unbelievable. So next time you go to Harbor Park and you stand right next to that island, you're standing in history's path. It's really cool.
History, literature, folklore. I'm intrigued. I'm a big guy because don't get me wrong. I've been to Gettysburg 3 times. I love all that shit.
Sure.
Salem. I love all that stuff. But like you said, for every Gettysburg, for every Salem, there's 5 or 6 other towns going. I was in the Civil War. I had an adventure. There's a president so that's wow. Because especially being in New England, I want to cover everything from Maine to Vermont to Rhode Island. I've been to shit, I can't think of his name now. In Providence, he passed away. H.P. Lovecraft.
Okay, yeah. Sure.
So that's a big one. But for every H.P. Lovecraft, there's other literature people. Like, where's this guy buried now? You're talking about
right.
Is he in Meriden?
This guy, he went back to Germany. Oh no, he's.
Oh, he went back to.
Oh yeah, he only stayed here for a couple of years, but it was just enough for him to be here at that one specific time. The time and place was important for him to, he wrote the story and he ended up going back.
Oh, that's wild. I love that. Okay. Oh, hello, Jean. Jean is she's a big cat researcher. Used to work at the Cryptozoology Museum. She's a cryptozoologist and stuff. She's in Maine with me. Friend of mine, good friend of mine, sister.
Cool.
Says hello. Speaking of Maine, have you ever been to Maine? You've been to my
state? I had a girlfriend there years. I mean, I'm going back way a long time ago.
Oh, she was had a Maine girl. Boy, must have had some Tylenol too. I hope then, right?
She was University of Maine, and I remember driving up to Orono, and I'll tell you, man, that's probably the longest drive I ever did.
That's where I live by. I live a little bit past Bangor to the west, almost towards the Appalachian Trail by Mount Katahdin and Moosehead Lake.
Sure. Yep.
While we're in Maine, I got to ask you, and I warned you. You know me. We had a little talk. I went to the same high school as him. I do tours. Shout out, guys. Yep. You're in Bangor, Maine. You want to come see Derry? Historically haunted tours. I'm booking tours right now. Come on, I'm lovable. Jump in the truck with me for 3 hours. You gotta come on. I didn't even ask you. Come on now. So I gotta ask you, brother. Being a writer and author and being into all this stuff, do you have a favorite Stephen King book and or movie?
Oh, I mean, there's no question about it.
That was quick.
Wait. Yes, it's definitely it. But I got to tell you, Pet Sematary threw me for when I was young, and it was the thinnest book. Same with Thinner. Both of them were quite thin. So I'm like, all right, if I got to read one of these books, I'm going to read those. So, but it by far is the first It, not the second one that came out a couple of years ago. The first It was amazing. But
I played my boy Marlon in the beginning for you from the Losers Club there. That's dope. Yep. That's wow. And then you said, that's funny. You say, it's funny, guys, real quick. I know where Pet Sematary was filmed in Maine, and I know where Thinner was filmed in Maine. If you ever come to it, I'd love to show you the bar scene where the guy's having there with the drinks, and he goes, Mama, he goes, you believe in gypsies? And she goes, Puta. That's in Belfast, Maine. So, wow, so that's some good answers, man. Yeah.
It was, yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, there's a delay because of the weather.
No, I was just going to say, I have a 13-year-old son, and I got to tell you, he's just getting into like the spirit of Halloween stuff, and he loves talking about some of these movies, and it's Dad, what's the scariest movie? And there's a lot of them, but you know what? When you're 13 or 14 years old and you're watching the first It, I mean, that's you remember that forever.
And I tell you, dude, honestly, watching these movies is what got me into reading, because I go, well, there's books about this, and then you started getting into, I'm going to the same school as Stephen King, and you start reading, and next thing you know, reading is healthy. There's not enough reading anymore, and I think that's good, especially you being an author and a writer, even just writing about your towns. I want to read some of your shit. I do want to order some. Real quick, I'm sorry, guys, we're talking. I forgot there's people in chat. George says hello.
Hey, George.
We got people checking. Hey, Stephanie says hello.
That's cool. Thanks, folks, for coming.
That's dope. Good people. Our Meriden home is 100 years old. He says, wow, yes. Okay, well, I'm going to jump all around because that's what I do. Justin, being into everything under God's sun, you probably even do jujitsu for all I know. Are you into the paranormal? Do you believe in aliens and Bigfoots and UFOs and ghosties?
All right, 100% yes, and it's only until I started writing these books that I'm saying yes, because I'm going to tell you a good story about Castle Craig. Now, I think it was, I forget the gentleman's name, something Patrick earlier.
Oh, yes. Where was that? I found it.
He mentioned Castle Craig, and I want to talk about that because I know we have a lot of Meriden people. Yeah, we have a lot of Meriden people online right now, and I want to talk about Castle Craig Tower. So
people watching.
So that's awesome. So Castle Craig's kind of funny because for those of you guys that don't know what it is, it's basically a tower that was inspired by a tower in Craigellachie, Scotland. So the gentleman that actually built this park went on a tour around the world. He ended up going to several European countries and finding things that interested him, and he brought these ideas back to this park. One being this big tower that overlooks the entire city of Meriden. It's called Castle Craig Tower. Wow. So that's pretty cool. So when I was writing a book about Hubbard Park, I got a random phone call from now he's a great friend of mine, this guy Rick. But he told me this story, and I'll tell you, this changed everything. So back in the late 70s, there was he was on one side of the town, and he saw this weird looking apparition of sorts, UFO of sorts above the tower. Now, he's miles away. And he says to me, he goes, you know what, Justin? He goes, it called me. I had to go to this tower and take a look at this thing. And so I said, Rick, what did you see? He's like, I'll tell you what. I drove up to the top of the tower and it was right above me. I said, Rick, what was it? He says, I can't tell you what it was. He goes, I could tell you it was a UFO. That's all I could tell you. Now, at first, I didn't really know him at first, and I took it with a grain of salt until I went and researched all the newspaper for that month, that year even. There were more UFO sightings in Meriden that month, and it wasn't just one or two people. We're talking hundreds of people were actually calling up saying, hey, something's going on at Hubbard Park right now. Something's going on at this castle. That has led me to believe that there is, and I've done a lot of research about this castle and the paranormal. And I got to tell you, there's a lot of connection. Now, I can't prove anything. I can only tell you what I read. But if you pull up the newspaper, I believe it was July 1978. If you go on there and just read, you're going to see it wasn't just Rick. It was many, 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 many accounts of this UFO thing. And it kind of died out after that. But, we're talking a bunch of them. And that has made me believe.
No, it's one of those things where it's like you maybe get a dozen or two. You're like, all right, it's probably some kids all drunk at a party bringing up jokes. Right. But you just get a couple hundred that are scattered throughout the city. It's like, well, how does Billy Joe and Bobby Sue, what do they wish? No one's looking for them to be on the Jerry Springer show. Right. And they're concerned. So that's wild. Huh.
And Adam, I'm going to tell you, it all revolves around this park because, again, that gentleman also mentioned the black dog. So there's a story about the black dog that goes hand in hand with that area. So there's a lot of supernatural, paranormal things going. What?
You mentioned the black dog. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, just that area in particular brings a lot of mystique and a lot of question marks.
It reminds me of like the Bridgewater Triangle in Massachusetts there by Lizzie Borden's place where they see UFOs and satanic rituals and supposedly ghost dogs and ghost trucker. And you can look at you with all the support. Love it. Jenna, what's up? She was decided to watch your cousin. And Hollis says that they've never heard of the UFO over Hubbard Park before. Wow, never heard of it. Schooling people left and right. I tell you, that's what it's about.
Yeah, it's funny because, if you go, so if you're, again, I'm going to talk about this park a lot because I love this park so much.
I think it's
on the other side of the park. So there's a legend of there's an ice cave, and that no matter what time of the year, you could be there in the middle of the winter, you could be there in the middle of the summer. There's an ice cave that actually is hidden in these woods. And for years, it's always been an anomaly. It's there's no one's ever found it. Back in 1832 they discovered it. In the 1850s someone found it again, and then nobody found it for years until actually I was talking to a friend of mine and I was telling him about, and his parents his father lives right next to these woods, and come to find out this guy, when he was a kid, he actually visited this ice cave. So this is like cool stuff. So one day, he's in his 70s, and he meets me there one day, and he says, he goes, meet me here at 7:00 in the morning. And I said, sure, okay. So I met him there, and he took me, this way up into the woods, and he says, here's the cave. And I was there. I was like, oh my God,
you found it?
Yeah, it was, but again, it's right where the black dog was. It's at the bottom of the hill of the castle. So there's so much mystique in these woods.
And that's where the UFO was seen.
The UFO was seen there. This is where the sunken bell story was written.
That's where the bell was written.
It's all right here.
Holy shit. Yeah. Connecticut's got some fucking lore. That's wild. I've never heard so much about that spot. I've heard about like Hannah Crana, the Drowning of the Witches, like I said, the Melonheads, Vampire Drive.
Yeah.
All that stuff. That's Meriden's got some history. That's where it's at.
All right. I got another one. You want another one? All right. So
you kidding me? I love that shit.
Everyone else on here, they know that I can just everyone else that's on here, they know I can talk and talk and talk and talk and talk.
Oh, what about William Wheeler?
Oh, okay. We'll talk about William Wheeler too. I'll tell you two stories. All right. So again, next to Hubbard Park is another mountain, and it's called Cat Hole Mountain. All right. And there was a girl named Amanda Atwater. So the name Atwater is huge in Meriden. You know, there's a lot of them. It goes back about 200 years of this name. Wow. So Amanda Atwater, she didn't have many friends, little homely. You know, she had a very, mediocre job, tending paperwork or whatever. However, one day she's at work and this guy comes up to her and he starts, he wants to start courting her, and he starts dating her. She's head over heels in love. No one ever gave her this kind of attention or affection, and he loved it. Every Sunday they would climb to the top of this mountain. They'd climb to the top of the mountain. Again, this is only, on the other side of Hubbard Park. It's right there as well.
Holy shit.
So they're up there one day. Finally, they're up there. They're carving their name in the rock. And they say this. He says this to her. He goes, "I'm breaking it off with you for whatever reason." She can't live anymore. I mean, she's just totally was obsessed with this guy. So he takes off. The next day, they find her face down in the water at the bottom of this mountain.
Jumped off.
With his locket around her neck. They say today the body of Amanda Atwater is still floating around that area. So again, the supernatural is and the paranormal is right here in town. And again, like I said, it's only a couple miles away from me right now.
Well, we get one response where, "Oh no." No one else says that Justin wants to go camping. So yeah. I guess some people dig it. But either way, like it or not, it definitely needs to be known. It's lore.
Yeah, Justin, I'll take you up there. I'll show you exactly where it was.
I'll fucking pack in my bags. I'll be there in a couple of days. That sounds like a fucking good time. How about the mass grave for children on Mid-State property for the old boys' home?
Yeah. There was an old Connecticut school of boys, and there were a number of kids who were, I'm not going to say they were tortured. I'm not going to say they were used as. There were a lot of kids who were actually who died, and they
like
just
a reform school or something. Not like a juvenile detention. Or like a school.
It was in a way a juvenile detention of sorts. It was the Connecticut School of Boys. I believe it was started 1851, somewhere around there. And over the years, especially right after the turn of the century, a lot of these kids, for whatever their reason. I mean, I don't want to really even go into kids like that, but for whatever reason. But they found this mass grave site.
They didn't have a lot of regulations back then. They didn't have OSHA, man, in the 1800s. They didn't have they had whips and chains and tie downs, just like you see in the horror movies. Unfortunately, I mean, New England's known for that. Massachusetts gets some bad penitentiaries and shit. All right, I'm gonna bring it. I want to light up the mood a little bit. Let me get you a fun one, kind of a tricky one. I throw you off course.
So,
give me your bucket list. Give me a place in America, and then give me one for all of the world that you got to go before you kick the bucket. Italy, France, Germany.
Oh,
give me one for America. Yeah. Give me a couple reasons why too. That's an order.
That's a good one.
That's your homework. That's your homework.
Well, I've been around Europe, and I adopted a son from Korea, so I've been over in Asia.
Wow.
I've been in Europe. I've never been to India, and I would like to go there at one point. And again, going back to the music, I would like to go and study some of the music over there. No one's really asked me that question before. No, you got me stumped here a little bit. I'd say India. Yeah,
that's a fun one to me because everybody's got a sort of a thing where it's like, man, I'd really love to go to the home. Of course, being Italian, maybe go to Calabria or Rome.
Yeah,
maybe Venice. Whatever. Not see the Pope or nothing, the Vatican, but I mean, whatever.
Yeah, no, I think in India,
everybody says Ireland. It's always the castles. Scotland, Ireland. Oh, castle,
yeah.
Which is great. But I mean, it's nice to hear something different, and I dig that. I respect that because that's very old school, traditional.
I'm going to jump over back to the music thing. In America, or in just Western music, we count music in eighth notes and 16th notes and triplets and basically in groups of four, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Whereas in India, they have their own syllable system. And to be immersed into that, I mean, that's amazing stuff. I mean, that's because they're on.
I'm curious. What do you mean? Like the kickoff, you mean? Or as far as the tempo goes?
No. So in India,
I'm just curious.
They have a syllable system where they actually will say what they're going to play. Like ta, they might, a certain din. They might say these words, these syllables, and then they'll actually play these notes. A note that corresponds with the note din, like there's like a high pitched din, and to go to India and study this with one of those masters, that would blow my mind, man. I mean, just give me 10 minutes of one of these guys.
Just to explain it to me is blowing my fucking mind, especially being a singer. It kind of makes sense, but it's a different tradition. They have no idea what the fuck we're doing, right? They think what we're doing is weird. I think the whole 1, 2, 3, 4, the Ramones always do, right?
Yeah. That
was my first show. The Ramones in Lewiston with White. He goes, underneath the building is the Pet Cemetery because Maine. Stephen King. That blew my mind. I go, oh my God, I love rock and roll.
Let me change it on you. Where would you go?
It's funny. I was just gonna say, usually at the midway point, I have my guest play host. Ask me a question. That's your question for me? Okay.
Yeah.
Boy, as far as earthly, because I always wanted to go to Planet X. As far as earthly, for America, I want to go to the Stanley Hotel. I want to go where Stephen King stayed. And of course, the people that did that, Stanley invented the Stanley steamers. That was from Maine. It was two brothers. One of them went out there and made the hotel where he stayed, inspired The Shining. I got to go to Colorado. I've been to Iowa. I've been to a couple different places. The Axe Murder House in Iowa. I've been to where John Wayne was born. His birthplace. Believe it or not. Yeah, it's John Wayne's birthplace, 1916 and shit. It's a big place in Des Moines, Iowa, or something, or right by it. But as far as other than that, my mom was big into Italy, Calabria, down by the Boo. I mean, growing up, Pacelli, the pea farmers. You know what I mean? And I want to go to like where Dracula is. I want to go to like Romania, the castle and shit. You know, I'd love to go to someplace in Asia. Would be great. The Japanese suicide forest or something. Maybe just tiptoe by it. But final answer for Italy, I guess I got to go roots. I do because man, I love meatballs, and I think that's where it's at. But I love your answer too because I love the third world countries, and that's no disrespect, and they're not quite third world, but you know what I mean. They're looked down upon by people, and I think Taiwan, all these places have so much to offer that people don't realize as far as music and culture and food, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I mean. Indian music to me I love that the most. I mean, North Indian classical music is really frequency this language. You bet, Jen.
Indian food's pretty good too, from what I've been told.
Yeah. This is cool, man. I'm humbled that you asked me to be here. This is fun.
I'm glad. Like I said, I'm professional, but I mean, I've been doing this for 3 years, and I've talked to a lot of people, and some people don't want to come back on. Some people are dying to come back on. So I appreciate you coming on. And hopefully in the future I can get you back on and even be a guest co-host. And we could talk to Stephen King's son, Joe Hill, or something. I met him last year. Hopefully I can get him on the show.
Yeah.
Let's stick to food. What does Justin do to celebrate after a big day, after maybe a big school session or you wrote a book to celebrate, man? You were that with a steak or lobster? What do you mow on, man?
Well, let's see. I'm a sucker for a good pizza. That's for sure.
Let's see. Boy.
I mean, that's.
Well, fuck it. Wasn't it invented in Connecticut? Isn't there an old school brick oven place?
We have a number of pizza places here. But I'll tell you one thing. All right, now we're gonna. I know we have the Meriden crew here, so this is good. So I don't know if you've ever had a steamed cheeseburger.
Oh my God, that's right. Connecticut's home of the steamed cheeseburger too.
Well, Meriden is the home to the steamed cheeseburger.
That's
so
right.
That actually, yes. So when you come down, I'm treating you to a steamed cheeseburger. Be ready. So,
dude,
and the history goes.
I'm coming down and I'm bringing a sleeping bag and I'm sleeping on your front lawn and you and I are gonna shoot the shit. And we're gonna record.
So
I knew I like you. Look like Stephen King's son. I think you're related to him, honestly.
Maybe I'll take some of his money.
Go ahead, steamed cheeseburger. Keep going. I'm fucking hungry now. Go ahead. Keep talking.
Well, no, just long story short is turn of the century over in Middletown, which is the next town over from us. There was a young guy. In fact, I believe his name is Jack Fitzgerald. He was 15 years old, and he was actually selling steamed cheese to some of the workers in the factories. Well, for a number of years, Middletown had the idea of steamed cheese. However, with the factories that were brewing in Meriden, we had, as I mentioned to you the other day, we are the silver capital of the world. So a lot of these factories downtown, so basically, they instituted a third shift during World War II, and people get off their shift and they'd be hungry. So they actually said, "Hey, I need a little bit more than just some steamed cheese." So there was a gentleman named Wilson Viet who actually put the meat actually inside the steamed cheese, and that's where we get our steamed cheeseburgers from today. So Meriden is the home of the steamed cheeseburger. Middletown is the home of the steamed cheese, and then you have New Haven, which is home to the first hamburger.
I've been there to lose lunch. Heather to lose lunch.
Yes.
1995. Yeah, boy. Heather and I, and we went to the place. Oh, it's got the first street light. It's got the street light where it's like it's a man controlled street light.
I don't know. I mean, it's in New Haven with Louis.
I think it's in West Haven. It's right next to Harriet Beecher Stowe's place with what's his face, the other author. Oh man, I dropped
Mark Twain. That's in Hartford.
Yeah, Mark Twain.
Yeah, that's up in Hartford.
Yes, Hartford. In that same town, they live right next to each other. We went all the way because she wrote Uncle Tom's Cabin. She wrote that in Maine. I went to her house in Maine in Brunswick, and then she had another home. So we went all the way there. Might as well grab the first ever cheeseburger. We stopped there. Lose lunch, but I didn't know steamed, man. I gotta try that. That sounds delicious.
It is.
Is it mustard, mayo, pickle, and like a regular burger?
However you want it. I mean, I always get mine with everything, but however you want it. Some people don't even want the meat; they just want double cheese or double steamed cheese.
I've heard of it, but dude, you realize that's awesome. I take so much pride, obviously in Maine, but New England. I don't ever want to leave. I've left. I've been to Iowa. I've been to Virginia. Like you said, you've been to Virginia, Florida. All that shit's great. But dude, it started here. And this is where the revolution started. You guys have that Benedict Arnold Day where you guys hang them through the streets, right?
That's definitely a tarnish in our cap as far as Connecticut's concerned. Yeah.
I know. But you got some Connecticut's home to the Warrens, who I've been to. I've been to Ed and Lorraine Warren's grave. I've been to their home.
I met
Monroe.
them.
You what?
Yeah. I met them when I was a kid.
Talk about that for a second.
Yeah, they used to come around. They would do their little their tours around, and they would do their little show. And I just remember staying back after one of their shows. I was with my mother. I was probably about 15 or 16 years old at our local Holiday Inn. I'm going back. This had to be, oh my God. Actually, if my cousins listen, Jen, you might remember 70s? This. What?
80s, 70s, 80s?
It would be the 80s, but it would have been like 85, 86. Jen probably knows better than I do.
Okay.
But yeah, they used to do this little circuit, and they used to come to our Holiday
comment
Inn.
the thing, I'll bring it on. Wow.
Yeah.
So it's like their lecture where they talk about what they do. They bring in some props and shit, but they don't really. It wasn't really known like it is now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was cool. I got to meet both of them. They're, Ed and Lorraine. So, I mean, it was scary. I mean, I just remember like, oh my gosh.
Do you mind if I ask if they were rude? I'm just curious. I hear they weren't. I hear they're pretty nice.
I was about 15 years old, and what I remember, they were very forthcoming, and they were, after the show, they were. All right, I'll talk to you later, Jeff.
Well, there are a lot of kids. He's talking about the burger. He's talking about the burger. Interesting though. That's because that's they definitely went around thing. Wow, that's pretty wild. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about well, obviously, like you're into the history there. Like, what got you started to going like, man, I got to start undigging this shit in my town. I got to figure out what's going on in here. I could write literally books about what's in my town.
Okay, so that's a cool story. Okay, so as I mentioned to you earlier, I was an editorial cartoonist for a number of years for the newspaper, and
Yep.
You
had an idol of sorts, or you had like someone you looked up to, I guess. Like Charles Schultz, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah, Frank. So I did a cartoon once of this guy Hubbard, this Walter Hubbard guy, the park. And I just could not stop drawing this guy. And I brought it to the newspaper saying, hey, let's do a series of Meriden historical figures. And they said, I don't think so. And I just could not stop. And it was about a year of my life of just drawing cartoons of Meriden figures. In fact, I got one here. Hold on.
Oh, I got your pictures that you sent me through the email. I've been talking to you. I forgot to even bring any on.
So I don't know if you can see the cartoon here.
Hold on, let me get rid.
There's a couple of reflections, but so.
Oh, I like that. That's very cool.
I did a cartoon book.
Making a bridge or
the castle. They're building the castle.
Okay.
Yeah. So long story short is basically they didn't like this idea of me drawing this guy for the newspaper, so I took it upon myself to write a book, draw a children's book. I never published it. It's sitting right over there. But I tried finding a publisher for it, and 3 or 4 publishers looked like, so I don't think so. However, this last publisher says, look, I don't want your children's book, but you seem so inspired by this park. Why don't you write the history of this park? And so I said, sure. And then everything spawned off that.
It spawned off a children's book, which spawned off the history of the town, but that's what you were doing at the time.
Correct.
And that's not even published itself. That's the catapult. And it's sitting there on. Wow, I gotta buy some of your shit. I will have to talk at some point. I definitely want some of your. I want him. Me and my girlfriend like to travel, and we don't like to just go to places where it's cool. We like to go to places that are offbeat, like the Jewett City Vampires. Jewett City Vampires. Oh, But real quick, I get some questions coming in, and I don't like ignoring people's. I love it.
Bring it up.
Oh shoot! Someone was talking about a mass. Oh, I lost comments. Here we go. I'm sorry. Someone talked about a mass grave a minute ago or something around there. Is there a mass grave? I can't get my Wi-Fi to work for some reason.
Yep. So it's behind the actual hospital today. It was actually the backyard to the Connecticut School of the Boys. Like I said to you earlier, there's a multitude of ways these children passed away, and some are pretty extreme, and I'd rather not kind of go there. You can use your imagination.
Well, back then they had diseases. They had the measles. They had influenza, the whooping cough. Okay. I get it, but I mean,
so we were talking about that area before, the spiritual, the paranormal spot with the park. There's also Undercliff. In Undercliff was a sanatorium that was up there across the street from this mass grave. So this, Adam, I know you don't. I don't know if you realize, but all the stuff we're talking about, everything that we've talked about this evening, is all relative to one another. It's all really close.
Wow!
So, and that's it's
you live in you live in Connecticut's Dairy. You're the Stephen King of Connecticut.
Exactly.
That's some pretty wild shit that you could easily write a novel, fake or real, about, because it's wow.
Right.
What year was your town established? Got to be 18 something, 17 something.
1661.
Before the fucking witch trials. It's old when it's right after Plymouth Rock. When the people in that town remember Plymouth Rock, it's old, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. So 1661. So a little backstory here. So Thomas Hooker comes over. He starts walking. He starts coming down for his religious freedom. He leaves the Massachusetts Bay Colony. Thomas Hooker starts making his way into Connecticut. So he's coming down, makes his way to Wethersfield, to Windsor, to Hartford. He makes his way there. Another group of colonists make their way around Connecticut. They end up coming up through New Haven. So Meriden is actually a conglomeration of 2 actual land deeds. One is Jonathan Gilbert in 1661 coming from the north, which was granted to him from Thomas Hooker. And then the other one is coming up from the south, a guy named Theophilus Eaton and a gentleman named Reverend Davenport actually made a deal with the Native Americans. So you have Merredin's actually two different land deals together.
This is before it was even close to even being America.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking way before 1776. It was literally just
150 years, 100 years before.
Colonists and natives, colonists from wow, we're talking wow, that's some interesting knowledge. You guys were the forefront. I mean, all those places were around back then, obviously, but not all of them was as civilized or was as used. And it sounds like your place has been a trading post for some oddball shit. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's interesting, but it definitely sounds like something in the water because it's not like you want to leave anytime soon.
No. In fact, speaking of water, so next to us is a town called Middletown, and that's right on the Connecticut River. Now, the Connecticut River goes right up through Vermont, up towards Canada. I mean, this was a major trading vessel port. I mean, you name it. I mean, there was everything was brought in and out through that.
The turnpike before cars were made was the fucking waterways. Was the turnpike? Yeah.
And we're not too far off from that. And
so I'm willing to bet you had either slaves or like legit slaves. Then I would think at some point, but I would think you had some sort of piratry going on or something. I would think.
Okay. You want to talk about slavery? We could talk about that a little bit.
Just a little bit. Yeah, people don't mind.
Sure. I say this quite often, any way you slice this, slavery is bad. That is true. I mean, I'm not saying anything other than that. Slavery is bad. However, Merredin, if you were to come here right now, it is a melting pot of every single black, white, green, purple. I don't care what color you are. We are a melting pot of race. We are a melting pot of religion. We are a melting pot of every type of socioeconomic diversity you can think of. And if you go back in time historically, Merredin has always been that way. Yes, we had slaves, but I'm going to tell you how it differed from what's in people's mind with slavery. It's nothing like what you think of down south. The slaves here were more indentured in the sense that, they were part of the family. They were educated by the family. So a lot of these slaves were actually part of the family. Now, again, I am not sensationalizing it in any way. Slavery is totally bad. But in 1837, Merredin was actually the subject of something. There was in 1837, there was a riot here. And Merredin actually pushed away the idea of slavery. We had a whole anti-slavery movement here. And we have a huge, huge church here in Merredin, Congregational Church. And unfortunately, they had hired an abolitionist to come in and speak. However, the surrounding towns were not so forgiving with slavery. They were actually quite, mean with their slaves, I guess you can say. And they did not want this anti-slavery movement happening here in Merredin. So they actually took broken trees, they took rocks, they broke down the door, and they pelted the people that were in this. And it became a national symbol for Merredin that, if the anti-slavery movement is the place to be in Merredin, Connecticut. So that's in 1837, another 10 years before slavery was abolished, or 11 years before slavery was abolished in, I think, 1848.
That just shows that they beat their own drum. They don't need to follow the people. They go their own.
Absolutely. And on top of that, and again, I know we have a lot of Merredin people here. So the case in point is we had a baseball player from Merredin named Frank Grant. Now, he was an African-American. He was born in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. He came to Merredin as a baseball player. And let me tell you, they say that he was the greatest black baseball player of the 19th century. And he lived here in Merredin for 1 year. And he was adored by the city. And he was black. Now, I don't know how many other cities can actually say that their number one guy in the city was black and adored that way. Frank Grant was freaking amazing. This guy can play ball. He was super nice with kids.
Not at that time, especially. No way.
Exactly. So now here's something really interesting. Frank Grant is in the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. Frank Grant is in the Negro Baseball Hall of Fame in Camden. He's not in the Merredin Hall of Fame. And that's something that I am going to push, and I have pushed in the years past. I want to see him in there. I mean, he's such a big integral part of Meriden sports legacy. And, you know,
if he made the legendary, he's got to make your guys' one. He's a three-peat. He needs 3 things coming threes, man.
Yeah.
And that shows you what type of guy you are to want to fight for him. Some dude you don't even know, just out of respect for who he is and what he's done, regardless of color, age, creed.
Yeah, absolutely. And he died a pauper. He died as a
he's dead?
Oh, he died in 1938. He died in 1938. But he died as a waiter, a porter in New York City, you know, penniless.
That's mind-blowing to me. Something. I tell you,
you know,
man.
It just floors me. And that's what I'm saying. When we start in the beginning, just the way we started in the beginning, we were talking about unsung heroes. I will always fight for that guy. I think he's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. We're at the time now. We got about 5-10 minutes. We're gonna keep going. I got a couple more questions we can call, but real quick. Justin's got a question.
Sure.
Has there been a lot of Native American artifacts found in Hubbard Park in Meriden, Connecticut?
Yeah, you know what? That's a really good question, Justin, and I will totally answer that. And I'm going to tell you on a whole bunch of different levels. So arrowheads are, I'm not going to say they're common, but they have been found most definitely there.
The little arrowhead fucking spears. Yeah.
So Justin, this is going to be huge. So check this out. Originally, I was talking about the ice cave. Next to the ice cave is a huge ditch. Now, when I say to you, maybe 20 feet deep, maybe 50 feet wide, it's this big, massive ditch. And basically, this is called the Cold Spring. So when Meriden was actually formed was actually granted the deed in 1661, the land boundary said Cold Spring. And the Cold Spring was this ditch. And it was always filled with water because it was only mere feet from the ice cave. This thing was always filled up with pitcher perfect water. Now, this predates our Meriden being settled. This is Native American times. So this would have been the 14 and 1500s that this, or even before, who knows? But this Cold Spring would have been predated before 1661.
Could have been formed in the fucking Ice Age for all you know.
Yeah, who knows? But, you know, so yeah, there's been a lot of Native American activity here. Yes.
Yeah, man. I got to ask you, is there such thing as a governor or mayor for this town? Because you could definitely run. Seriously, though, is there like...
We do have a mayor. We have a city manager. We have a mayor. And, you know, that's a touchy subject because we've had a couple issues with having both. You know, who gets the extreme power? You know, right now the city manager has the most power. But, you know, I like both guys, so it's all good.
See, I dig that because I could tell like you because as soon as I go to like another part of Connecticut or something, you automatically know. So you love your town. I get it. Yeah. You just love weird shit in history in general, which I dig too, especially when it comes to, well, seriously, Connecticut's wild, man. I mean, you were name dropping stuff earlier. And you're just looking at me like, oh, yeah, Melonheads. Oh, yeah. Fucking Jack the Ripper's wife, or supposedly there. I mean, there's so much, especially me being me grew up in Lisbon, Stephen King went to high school there, the Moxie Festival, Moxie Soda.
Sure. Yeah.
Right next to that is Lewiston, the Lewiston Central Maine Civic Center. That's where I met Rob Zombie. Yeah, on Halloween. Wow. But in the 1960s, that's where Cassius Clay lost to Muhammad Ali in the Phantom Punch. Muhammad Ali had death threats and had to go there, and there's a statue and all that. So, but now that I'm by Bangor, I do tours up there. I try to do where Hannibal Hamlin, America's first Republican vice president, died while playing poker on a couch, and the couch is on display, and he's buried at the cemetery. Yeah. And then Al Brady, after Bonnie and Clyde and Dillinger got killed, he was America's most wanted from Indiana, came to Maine, and the FBI shot him in the streets in Bangor. There's a brick where he died, and he's fucking buried in the same cemetery where Stephen King played the Reverend in Pet Sematary, the movie.
Wow.
So I try to do what you do. I try to go because Bangor's got these oddities. If you watch Derry, the new season of Derry, like this brick foundation blew up, and it actually did. Is a kissing bridge. Used to be a covered bridge. It's gone, but there's a bridge now. It actually was. The Barrens were a real place. A gay kid really get thrown off a bridge and drowned in Bangor, like in the movie. Yeah. So I'm not trying to take away from you, but I dig what you're saying because you take pride in what you are and you want to know the facts. And I can tell by it's more than just sure it's work, but it's really not because it's wild, right?
Yeah, like you just said, the oddities. I mean, it's the stories that nobody else knows. That's the thing that really it grabs me. And hopefully, in the way I write or whatever, it can grab somebody else. But I mean, without question, I mean, again, going back to Meriden, I can't say enough great things about this place because there's so many cool stories about this place that, I'll give you another example. So I'm a school teacher, and if I ever get a class that's a little unruly, or they just can't sit down or they can't be quiet, I'll say something like this. I'll go up and I'll look to where these kids live, and I'll say something like, "Hey, did you know that you live on the same street that a famous animator lived on? Or do you know that you live 2 houses away from where the first silver maker lived?" These kids get off. They love this stuff. They love, oh my God, they go home, tell their parents write letters back to me. Oh my God, I had no idea. So, the children it's the children that's going to take this to another level. It's getting them involved into this history, and if you could just get one kid involved, you did your job. And I can't stress that enough, especially Meriden or, I mean, I'll tell you, and this is something I see a lot. And, again, I am connected to the Historical Society. And unfortunately, a lot of the people you see there are retired. They're volunteering there because they have the time. However, there's no, the youth is not there. And there's got to be a way to grab the youth to inspire and tell them and teach them what's going on in their city. So 2 things happen. One, they create pride. There's pride in the city, but also this stuff has to be. This has to be told to them because it's going to be long gone one day. Unless.
Dude, I mean, I remember growing up, and I'm sure you could probably say the same fucking thing. People would, oh yeah, she's gonna bring it right up. 1 second, AJ. 1 second.
Wheeler.
Oh yeah, of course. There's always one that we'll forget. Real quick, I gotta say, growing up in Maine, especially in Lisbon, Maine, and Sheffield, I can't wait to get out of in high school, middle school. I can't wait to leave the state. So boring, so stupid, so nothing. Yeah. I want to go to Florida dance parties and MTV type shit. And I think the older you get, people realize holy fuck, chewing gum was invented in Maine, in Bradford, Maine. I can go to the place where it was invented. I know it sounds like cheesy shit, but I think the older we get, we start to realize that I think we kind of want historical stuff, right? I think what you're doing is you're letting these kids know, hey man, the guy down the street from you was a cartoonist, man. He did fucking animatronics before animatronics were cool, or Japanicon or whatever the fuck, anime. Yeah. Whoa, that's cool. The birthplace of the Ninja Turtles. The Ninja Turtles were invented in New Hampshire. I went there a couple weeks ago. Yeah. I did a video in Manchester, New Hampshire, where the guys invented the Ninja Turtles. And they go, wow, New Hampshire, Ninja. It wasn't in Hollywood, guys. Not everything's California. Get the fucking wax out of here. I think what you're doing, I'm not trying to take away, but what I'm trying to say is what you're doing is needed because kids don't know, and it's all online bullshit. And I think it's cool to know where you come from. Does that make sense? You know what I mean?
And it's another thing I tell the kids too. And, so you mentioned a cartoonist, and we have one of the, a gentleman named Warren Sadler. Warren Sadler did the old Cracked magazines, Mad Magazine. He did the Cracked magazines, which was very similar. And he did the old Billy.
Yeah, boy.
Yes. And he did the old Billy the Kid comic books. He did a number of old Charlton comic books, well, anyways, he lives right down the street. When you're in Stop and Shop, unless you know this, he could be right in front of you. He's just a normal guy, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, I tell these kids this, whatever you're into, Meriden has a piece of it. Wrestling, Chief J Strongbone. Yeah, Charlton Comics.
Oh, Chief J.
Yes.
Tattoo, baby, old school.
So, do you remember Chief J Strongbone?
Well, you kidding me? George Animal Steve, Chief J Strongbone's in Connecticut? No way.
Hey, you can't see this, but behind those trees is where he used to live.
Oh, my fucking God. I would document
that on my YouTube
channel.
And listen, you mentioned a second ago, you mentioned, you mentioned anime.
Yeah.
So the voice of Naruto from Naruto, he used to live here in Meriden. He's one of the Final Fantasy. There's Naruto. Look, I'm not big on the Japanese animation stuff, but I know the kids in school are.
Well,
the guy who
that's history for your small little town that people need to be aware of. It's not all big glamorous bullshit. Dude, tour for tour. I come down, you give me a tour, you come up, and I'll give you a tour. That sounds like a deal.
Sounds good to me.
Dude, look, people are fucking loving it. Cousin's blowing it up. This kid says you're an inspiration. You inspired him
awesome.
to
Thank you so much, Justin.
Hey, real quick before we go, this will be up on YouTube forever. I'm gonna have you back. I'm gonna have you as a co-host. This hour went by way too quick.
Sure.
Give me one of your favorite. Is there a favorite place, like a favorite food or favorite like go-to in the town? Is your town known for like a famous Strufel waffle fucking burger or something, or
food? No,
dog?
Steamed cheeseburgers, man. I mean, that's the place.
Yes, it's favorite is cheeseburgers. Okay, well, scratch that. Scratch that then. Let me give you
we can talk about William Wheeler too. I know we're
yes, that's what I want to talk about. I'm stoned. I had an edible earlier. Don't do edibles, kids. I'm medical card and I'm 47. I can. Let's talk about William Wheeler before we go. Who the fuck is this guy? Is he the next Benedict Arnold or what? What's going on with him?
Asia. Every time I see Asia, she's always asking about William Wheeler. So, all right, here we go.
You gotta know.
So think about the Civil War. And these people are dying on the field. Can I?
She wants you as a guest. Oh, okay, real quick. She sponsors the show. I was on her Spooky Japan podcast. She actually has a podcast from Italy now. She's giving me a core package, and I've had Kit Kats in Japan Kit Kats, and she's hooked me up with sponsorship. Amanda has a podcast. Amanda, I'll get you the credits after when I'm sober tomorrow. I've had a beer and some edibles, so we'll start on a good time. Or message him. Or message Asia. That's his manager. She's taking over now. I'm done with the booking agency. She's taking all my old clients from me. Either way, we'll get you on another show. But Justin, continue with this fucking guy because I'm dying to know at this point.
Well, again, during the Civil War, people are dying on the battlefild, and some of these families, they just need closure. If you think about the battlefields are down the south, you got a lot of these Union soldier families up here, wondering about their family, wondering about their son, their husband, whoever. And, it's pretty grim, some of these bodies are decomposed, and, it takes weeks until they're actually, found, or even, maybe not found or identified. It became a very costly affair, and where prior to the Civil War, any type of funeral would have been, a private, the body would be laid out for a week or so inside the home. That wasn't a luxury in the case of these people who are dying on the field. So these parents or these family members would go down, try and recoup whatever they can recoup with the body. But, again, these bodies had been dead for weeks before these things, before they're just disgusting. So any which way. So in the case of Meriden, we had two really, really interesting inventions. One is called the corpse preserver. And it was actually, do you know this?
Yeah, you told me yesterday on the phone. I remember now.
So a guy named Cephas Rogers. Hey, Justin, maybe he's related to you. I don't know. Cephas Rogers. Right? So this guy, Cephas Rogers, who also was a confidant of Abraham Lincoln, because he actually took Abraham Lincoln from New Haven to Meriden when he did his talk in 1860. But this guy, Cephas Rogers, actually created this like little refrigerated coffin. And it would have windows because obviously the smell would be so bad. And this became a major, major thing. If you go online and type in corpse preserver, you can see what this thing looked like. And it was, it looked like almost like an underwater submarine, because you got the little, window, but if you think about it,
Pluto wanted to go down to see Titanic.
yeah. But if you think about it, families needed closure. The bodies were originally laid out, but they needed viewing windows because it was so bad. However, okay, so now that's one thing. Now, soon thereafter, the Ouija board is invented. The Ouija board was invented in 1890. Again, if somebody
Elijah
told
Brand
me,
or something, Elijah Wood or something.
yeah, if somebody told me that I could contact my, deceased, relative through this board, I would have been all over it, And if you think about it, this is new, and it was kind of a byproduct of this non-closure, I guess you can kind of say. Well, anyway, long story short, that's created. The Ouija board's out. Now, William Wheeler was a gentleman who came to Meriden to follow suit with his brother, who was already here in Meriden. And he was all about the occult. He was all about spiritualism. He wrote all books, had some kind of little paranormal twist to it. Check him out. I'm in William Wheeler, Meriden, Connecticut.
Like an Aleister Crowley style.
Yeah. Now, the thing about William Wheeler is he saw this demand for the Ouija board, so he created his own. He created something called a wireless messenger. Now, William Wheeler, this wireless messenger, they say would actually talk back to you. It would actually kind of reverberate, if you will, when you're actually maneuvering it, right? Now, unfortunately, because he didn't own the trademark to this Ouija board, because Elijah did, he could never get it registered. So for 20 years, he tried getting this thing registered, just under 20 years. He tried getting this thing registered, and he could never get it registered. The government would not allow him. Finally, now this is the ironic part. In 1916, he's home. He's elderly now. He gets a message he gets a telegraph message in the mail. It says something along the lines of, "Congratulations, it's been approved." Unfortunately, he dies 6 months later. He had it mass produced. His wife died a week after he did. But here's
his wife died a week after he did.
A week right after. Here's the weird part. So the weird part is he had all these mass produced as soon as he got the okay. When he died, these were all left inside this one house on Hanover Street in Meriden. Now, let me tell you, I was not privy to this. I know someone who was there, but when they went into this house years later, they found hundreds of these wireless messengers in this guy's basement that were never touched. This is the Meriden Historical Society has one. I have another friend of mine who has one, but these go for thousands and thousands of dollars today. If you ever find them, and they are cool stuff. I mean, they're cool because there's a cool backstory. And now that you know the backstory, it's like, wow, this is really, really cool. But like I said, this is something that most people don't know about. William Wheeler, like I said, you could buy a couple of his novels on Amazon if you choose. And they're all just a little weird, just a little different, a little occultish.
Meriden's a weird little fucking town. The guy that did animes there, the guy that did you have all these little, I could talk for another hour, but we got to go soon. I know. I knew you'd be interesting, but I didn't. Meriden's fucking wild. We got to do a Meriden too. Would you? So you're under oath. You're being recorded. This is going to go on my YouTube channel. You would come back on as a co-host or even as a guest there?
Happily.
All right. Right on, dude. I'm glad you had a blast, dude. I could talk to you for an hour. Oh, real quick. Justin is a descendant of the Mayflower. Oh, shit. Burn him at the stake. He's a witch. He's a male witch. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in. Please check in anytime. Fucking A, man. I'm going to get you on some of the podcasts if you want to talk some more shit. I think I can get you some exposure. If you want to, it costs some money to come to a convention. But if you want to come up to Maine, and even Thomas runs Connecticut, Salem, get a booth, get some books, talk some history, plug Meriden. I think you'd be down with that, huh?
Absolutely, man. It's I can't say, if I could just close with one last thing, just, and I've been saying it the whole entire hour, is just, Meriden is a blip on the radar, but it's such a huge blip on the radar. I mean, Meriden is such a special place, and it just goes to show. You can see all these people on here. We're a community that's got a really rich legacy and history.
And I love that. Like I said, I got no reason to bullshit you. I get sponsorship, but I can pretty much tell you, hey man, you suck, see you later, and hang up on you. I don't care. But I love, and I'm not trying to be like I'm bigger than you or nothing, but I'm saying is I love your passion, your history. You're not trying to lowball me like I'm the idiot. You're trying to educate us, and we're having fun. And I appreciate your time and your knowledge. Like I said, Asia's hooked me up with some people, Father Bob and them. Of course, I knew him anyway. And of course, Asia's been on. But she told me about you, and I'm glad we're friends on Facebook now, dude. And I'd like to stay posted with you and have you come back on and get you on some shows. And if you ever come to Maine and vice versa, I'd love to see your town, man.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Dude, Justin, that was a blast. You're like, I don't keep going. Hey, man, thank you for teaching too with the kids and all your stuff. That's a big thing because I try to do a lot, I think, with the kids around here. Well, kids need guidance. So thank you from a regular human. Justin, guys, author, writer, Hall of Famer in Meriden, Connecticut. We didn't even get to talk about your metal detecting, which I wanted to. That's next episode. Musician, drummer, writer, historian, Justin Piccirillo. I fucked that up. I'm Italian. Piccirillo, son of a bitch. I'll get hit with Italian with lasagna. I can feel my girlfriend like I see you getting Italian eye right now. Hey, man, thanks for coming on. This will be up on YouTube, guys. We'll see you next week. I forget who my guest is, but don't forget, guys, in a month, I got the guy that played in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I got one of the Leatherfaces from Texas Chainsaw 5 coming on. So tune back in.